welcome back to our installment of running through the story quest with the X-Men DLC characters. We are actually at the X-Men's home base here, the Xavier Institute, and we're currently under attack from a couple of Sentinels, so let's head to the back of the mansion and see what else we can do here. Now, pretty soon here we're going to come across the rift, which is to be found here in this part of the map. And we will be sure to point that out to you so you know where to find it. It's pretty out in the open and easy to find, but we always want to make sure that you're aware of where that is. Now, these Sentinels, again, are the blue variant, so they do have the electricity element to their attacks, which you do need to keep in mind because it creates stagger effects like that if you mistime it. And just like that, we have both of them taken out, which allows us to progress forward to the next portion of the game. Now, Nick Fury does an excellent job of reminding us where the rift is located, and it's over here on the left in this little grove, and once you've interacted with it, you will then be able to access the different rifts through the rifts on the main menu. Now, we'll walk over here to the Quinjet, skip through the conversation with Beast, and progress on forward. Alright, so we've got some opponents here that are not super great. Now, let's go ahead and get our ice armor active, and it looks like that did not take for our teammates here, but it's at least increased our own attack value. And by attack value, I mean defense value. And we've just about got this Sentinel down, which will give us his core, which we can then use against our Infinity Sentinel. Not quite taking him down, but the splashback actually gave us and if you time this just right, you can actually get both of the attacks put in place, and we should be able to completely burn out this Infinity Sentinel, or at least get very close to having him burned down, all in that first stagger. And we now have another core, but we didn't even need to use it because that takes down the Infinity Sentinel. And now we have the segment fighting against Magneto, Juggernaut, and Mystique, which is not a mandatory part of the fight, as we can't even fully take down, well, we can't fully take down one of the characters, but as soon as that happens, we are automatically pressed into the next portion of the quest. Well, we can certainly try, as we might, to take them down.
Can we kill them now?
Now, Mystique has a very similar attack style to what we would see or expect from Black Widow, which is a bit unfortunate, because I think that there was a lot more that could be done with her particular kit than that. Let's get Jean Grey out here so we can recover some of our EP to each of our allies. And that actually did a decent amount of damage to Mystique there. Alright, we should just about have Mystique taken down. And we've got all of our extreme attacks online again, so let's use that to burn out the remainder of Mystique's health, and that will progress us on to the next part of the fight.
That's right, you better run. I'm gonna crush you.
Now, honestly, I think Cable is going to be our best answer to running away from Juggernaut here, given that he does teleport with his double jump, allowing us to evade all of the obstacles here. Alright, well, that was a disaster, but we can now progress through the remainder of the mansion here. Now, there's a lot of artifacts that you can destroy here to regain EP, health, other things, but we did just get everything recharged. So let's blitz on through to the next segment, where we can help Deadpool out against the Juggernaut. Alright, so let's go ahead and get a couple of these dangerous grounds set up. And then switch over to... Oh, Jean actually set up her own little field here, which is quite nice.
Much fun in ages.
And that gets us through the remainder of that first cycle stagger cycle. And unfortunately, we don't have the rest of that finished out yet. Let's use some of our deadly deal here to burn more of him down. And the slow effect does work on him to some degree, at least with his standard attacks. And we've just about got the rest of him burned down. And with that aerial attack, we got the rest of the Juggernaut staggered here.
Bad idea. Be careful. These training programs may be holographic, but they can still hurt us.
They don't call it the danger room for nothing.
Alright, so these holographs are all reminiscent of enemies that we've seen, so we can just go ahead and burn through them, trying to keep up as many of these attacks as possible. We've got our extreme attacks online. We shouldn't really have to think too much about them. And now we have a mixture of some Ultron sentries along with some members of the Hand. And we even have the floor traps from that part of the mission set up as well. We just about got these guys finished out here. And that gets level beta cleared out. Now level gamma is the last one that we need to fully focus on clearing out. And I do like how it shows us a area that we have not experienced yet. That's quite a cool feature of this particular part of the fight. And Cable does quite a good job
Threat level is escalating quite rapidly.
of targeting these opponents and sucking them into our equipment. We've got those characters finished out here. Just got to get through the last couple. And that gets us through level Gamma, which triggers the next cutscene. And we're just about through the remainder of the interior of the mansion here. Progressing up these staircases gets us back to the main floor. And since we've viewed activity from both Juggernaut and from Mystique, it's now time for Magneto to make his appearance. Right, so let's get this automated turret up. TK Spike gets some interesting damage in there against him. Let's see if we can burn him out with our ultimate attack here. Not quite on center, but it's decently close. Right, and typically you can burn through these opponents with these attacks. They will detonate on their own, but once you take out one of the Sentinels, you can then use the cores to your own will and purposes. We're just about done with Magneto's attacks here. Alright, well, let's switch over to Gambit since he's right here next to Magneto and get a few more of our attacks triggered in. And then we'll switch over to Iceman immediately to get in some additional damage with his extreme ability. And that gets this Sentinel burned out, which allows us to now use this core to finish out Magneto. And with a flurry of a few attacks here, we should be able to burn the rest of his health down, which we have.
I shall build a new world in the name of Homo Superior.
Alright, well, the next little bit here is quite hairy because Proxima and Corvus aren't exactly the world's easiest opponents to fight, but they do leave us with a couple of Outriders to take on first. Now we've got some ice armor active on our allies here, and with a couple more melee attacks and another one of these ice shards, we've got some of the larger Outriders taken down. Now something you will want to keep in mind is in this section of the fight, if you have teammates incapacitated, you are going to lose them and not be able to revive them. But this isn't one of those missions that you're expected to complete successfully anyway. So don't feel bad or beat yourself up if you're not able to do it. Now, these Outriders can be a little bit trickier to take on, but as long as you focus them down in a relatively strategic manner, you shouldn't have any... Alright, now we've got Corvus, and the tricky thing about Corvus is he hits very, very hard. You're not expected to be able to take him out, but if you dance around his attacks, you just may be able to make it away with your lives intact. And especially if you have these attacks lined up, you can do decently well at getting him burned down. But again, this is a stage in the fight where you're expected to lose against Corvus, just because he is quite powerful. So I'm going to go ahead and summon the automated turret here, and we're going to go ahead and resummon it to get some more damage in against him. And just trying to refresh that turret as frequently as we can. And make sure you roll around those attacks from Corvus, as they are particularly pesky. And if you get caught in it the wrong way, just like Corvus there, you will get burned out immediately. Iceman's now down. We're down to the last two of our characters. So we're rolling around. And he's mimicking one of my attacks there, which is unfortunate. We just about got him finished, but Jean should give us the finishing touch that we need, which is actually my first time actually taking Corvus down. But now we have to do basically the same thing against him, and he hasn't gotten any weaker, as well as against Proxima. So I'm going to try my best to finish this out, but they do strike very hard, and the whole point of this is to help build anticipation for the final confrontation, and that's certainly the feeling that one gets when taking them on, because their health pool is just so unbelievably overpowered, and especially when there's two of them back to back, it's just not a fun circumstance to be in. This is intentionally amped up to make you frustrated. So we get our characters revived here, and we then just need to stay ahead of this onslaught. The best way to do that is to find a character who can web sling or fly, and just navigate your way around Proxima's attacks here.
The thrill is in the hunt, my love.
What are you waiting for?
And then once you get to this stage, you can leave them behind. Alright, so now that we've successfully retreated from the presence of Corvus and Proxima, we are here in the Dark Realm, and this is going to be where we end today's episode before progressing onwards. So we'll be back on Monday with our installment of this series in the Marvel Knights canon, and progress through as succinctly as possible. But thanks again for watching. Feel free to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We are just about to hit that 60 subscriber mark, which is pretty cool. And I thank all of you who've joined me on that journey. Drop a like and a comment, so I know how you're enjoying the series so far. And we will catch you in the next episode. Take care.